Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to give you a warm welcome this morning on this Sunday, December 11th. Been an incredible year. This show has been amazing for those of you that have been here week in and week out, Power of Pure Presence. And the year's about to wind down. And I know you might be reflecting, you might be going through some pain. And typically we bury our pain, we don't deal with it. And because life moves on, right? Life is happening at rapid pace today, and it's one of the main drivers of the show, Power of Pure Presence. I have a couple special presentations for you today, but I want to invite you to settle into this moment. Like that's the whole reason you're here, is just to remind you of this moment, like this incredible gift that we woke up this morning. We're here. We're able to engage with each other, and I hopefully, prayerfully, this time of year finds you in a great state. But I am aware that that's not always the case. A lot of times, the time of year that's supposed to be happy and filled with making great memories, sometimes it's not. Sometimes life is happening, or things have happened this year, and they might be coming to a head. But here's what's beautiful: this present moment is always there for you. And there's always something that we can draw and appreciate. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to just see what unfolds. I always like to be transparent, and that, even getting here, I had some computer problems. So literally, the computer was acting up, and then right on time, I was able to get in. I had to reboot twice. We're going to get your shares today. We're going to talk about pain and presence and pain, how they play together. How can presence be a catalyst to, I say, overcome pain, but to embrace pain? How can presence be a catalyst to embrace pain? There's a really great message in this. I have some pre-recorded content. Earlier this year, I was at Princeton Battlefield, and we're going to be going there in a moment. But before we do, I have a special presentation for you. So I just want you to settle in and enjoy this. It's whatever you want it to be. How about that? Just pause and breathe. Pause and breathe. And I'm going to go over to the special presentation now. And then when that's maybe about 10 minutes. And when that's finished, I'll come back, and then we'll go to our pre-recorded content at Princeton Battlefield. And we're going to talk about pain and presence. So if you know somebody who's going through a difficult time, share this with them. I assure you this will touch them. I assure you this will meet them where they are, especially during this time. So let's go over to get a peaceful recharge right now. Okay. Just type in the chat what you're feeling. I'm going to ask Duchess DJ Love. She's in the green room there. She's helping us with the production of the show. If there's any, we can check in with our audience, our live audience right now, and just see what's coming through for you. Water, nature, birds, gentle music, infiltrating my soul. Thank you, Mandy Robinson out of Cobourg, Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here today. And even if you're getting this on the playback, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, wherever you're getting this, I trust it's going to soothe you, be a balm for your soul, if you will. The present moment can be overwhelming when we fully step into it. Look, Ivy Perez, good morning, Ivy. Happy Sunday, Power of Pure Presence. I honor your presence today. Gallivanting like a royal, that sounds familiar. So peaceful and calming. Awesome visuals and sounds. And for those of you that are on the podcast getting this, just a beautiful images of waterfalls, just peaceful scenes, ocean, nature. And I love the butterfly at the end. It's beautiful. Butterfly is always a great symbol of rebirth, right? Going through the metamorphosis of change. And it seems like change is always constant. And this is a great lead in. If you are going through a tough time, this is for you. And even if you're not going through a tough time, maybe you know people that are, you can share this with them. In a moment here, I'm going to cut over to a pre-recorded video. And this was recorded live at Princeton, New Jersey, at Princeton Battlefield, not too far from Albert Einstein's home, right down the road. And pain and presence is the topic. It's I believe it was recorded in November. Yeah, sometime in November, I believe, but it was right when autumn kicked off here. We're getting ready to hit the winter solstice. So technically, we're on the backside of autumn right now, but this was early. So you're going to hear some nature sounds. And I just invite you to step into the scene, pause and breathe. It's interesting that butterfly is the same color. The butterfly, yes, my catalyst, right? And it's the butterfly that we're seeing on the screen here, the little emoji, is the same that was in the video. So how about that? All right, so I'm going to cut over now to this pre-recorded piece, and I invite you to be in the moment. I invite you to get what you need. I invite you to type in the chat because even though this is pre-recorded, we're going to be going through the live chat and we will be extracting shares as things come up for you because I invite you to do one of two things. You can type in the chat as things arise in you, because whatever's coming up in you, someone else might feel it. If you have a journal, if you got a journal, you just grab your journal, put it next to you, or you got a voice recorder, because when you're in the present moment and you're going to be in this present moment here in a moment, even though it's pre-recorded, you're going to be in the scene and it's going to evoke something, right? And sometimes something comes out of nowhere. You're like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Capture it. Capture it in the moment. Let it speak to you. It's one of the quotes I shared earlier this week on my other platform is that when you get into a creative state of mind, each moment becomes impregnated with unlimited opportunity. I'll see if I can get that image to share it. And to get into a creative state, it's a lot of times it's being in the present moment. So we're going to go on a journey here in a moment, and we're going to be talking about pain and presence, but this is always your journey, and it's always about what comes up for you. It's always your journey. And if you're watching this, then I just happen to pop into your journey, whether you've been here every week, whether you're here for the first time. And if you're here for the first time, I welcome you. You're here for a reason. Even if you're not sure what this is yet, you're like, what is this? There's something here for you. We always say you're either here to give or you're here to receive, right? And I don't know what that is, but let's cut over to this special presentation and let's see what arises for you. And I want to again continue to type in the chat what arises, and we're going to do our best to share those comments as they come through. If you're on the podcast, they're not going to be read out loud, but you'll hear the content of the pre-recorded video. So here we go. If you haven't taken the time yet, take a moment to find your breath. Just connect to this moment. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Maybe you want to roll your shoulders back, front. Maybe shake your head yes. Or shake your head no. And as you breathe, just allow your stomach to expand. Let that air come to the bottom of your lungs. Just settle into this moment. Trust what shows up for you. Could be emotional, could be something that rises up in the emotion. Could be something that shows up in your body, a sensation, a a twitch, a feeling, maybe even a pain could come somewhere and go. Just notice it. The title of this week's show is Pain and Presence. We need to discuss pain as a part of life, and certainly it can be in our present. As we settle into this week's show, I am currently on the site of Princeton Battlefield, Princeton, New Jersey. And sometimes it's apropos, there could be a battle in the mind, right? There could be a battle ensuing in you right now, a push and pull. Maybe you're fighting something as you settle into this show. I have an interesting show for you today in that not only am I at the Princeton Battlefield, but I'm also about a mile from the Albert Einstein House, 123 Mercer Street, which is about a mile from here. And it's a private residence, but there was a lot of things that happened for Albert Einstein there. I want to share a couple quotes from Albert Einstein. I have a reading that is going to really move you. It's profound, it's deep, and I know you're going to get a lot from it. Behind me, you see the flag, the battlefield. In early January of 1777, a battle ensued here with the Americans and the British. And still a significant site to this day, in that it's one of the battles that the Americans won. And I believe there's some burial grounds here as well. And there's the Thomas Clark House, if you're a history buff, which served as a hospital after the battle. And there's lots of history. But relative to our show today, we could be in a battle. We could find ourselves fighting something. We might be suffering or in a state of pain. So I want to get into that and just let's see what arises as we go through this. I'm going to start with the Albert Einstein quotes because it's only fitting we're about a mile from the home of Albert Einstein. So I grabbed a couple quotes to give us perspective on living in the moment. The show Power of Pure Presence, if you're new, this is all about living in the moment. There's a really calming energy here right now, albeit there's some traffic noise. You still hear the sounds of nature, and it's just a beautiful calming energy, and I hope it comes across to you. And as a matter of fact, I want to just share this little background right here where I find myself as these beautiful fall colors still show up. So you can just see what I see. And as we do this, I want you to honor where you are. Are your thoughts racing? You can see the parking lot there. Are your thoughts racing right now? Or are you giving yourself the gift to be in the moment here? Where are you? Just acknowledge that. Just acknowledge where you are. Just observe it. A lot of times we can think we're doing something wrong or right. We're asking, am I doing this wrong? Am I doing this right? What if we just allowed it? What if we just stepped out of that judgmental mind for just a moment and just said, allow? Okay, let me share a couple great Albert Einstein quotes with you. I never think of the future. It comes soon enough. I never think of the future. It comes soon enough. Life preparation. Let me back up. Life is a preparation for the future. And the best preparation for the future is to live as if there were none. Life is a preparation for the future. And the best preparation for the future is to live as if there were none. Wow. And I really like this last quote. While it doesn't speak directly to Power of Pure Presence, it speaks directly to all of us, and it's what I want to impart before I get into the deeper part of the show today. And this is my last Albert Einstein quote for today. We know from daily life that we exist for other people first of all, for whose smiles and well-being our own happiness depends. We exist for other people first of all, for whose smiles and well-being our own happiness depends. Think about that as you reflect on your journey. I have two readings for you today that are going to speak directly to pain. As we go through life, we might seek a respite from pain, or we might seek a safe haven from pain, which is normal. That seems like the normal thing to do. But what if there was another way to embrace this? Another way to be present. Another way to harness power of pure presence, even in the pain. Things falling apart is a kind of testing and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, but the truth is that the things don't really get resolved. They come together and they fall apart. Then they come together and they fall apart again. It is just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, and for joy. That's from Pema Chodron. Not 100% sure on the pronunciation, but she is a Buddhist nun. I believe she was the first ordained female Buddhist nun, I believe. And she grew up Catholic, And she did live in New Jersey, which is where I currently am located. I'm in New Jersey. I don't know what part of New Jersey, but she has an amazing perspective on life, and her journey has lended a lot of books. And I had remembered some of the research I had done. It led me to her work. And this reading I'm sharing with you was something I uncovered recently, and I'm going to share another one which really, really speaks. And I heard it years ago when I was going through a really tough time, and it just spoke to me, and it was just really powerful. And I need to share, I am hearing lots of noise in the woods. As when I first got here, I walked over to the hedge line on the other side of the woods, and this deer came out of nowhere, and he just kept walking over to me, and I was like, whoa. So I kind of gradually walked away, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a deer here somewhere. So anyway, we'll let that unfold as it will. But I just want to remind you here, as we go into the show, there's content and there's no content. And as we're moving through, I just want to give you opportunities, and I want to read this again, and then I just want to pause. I'm going to pause for a moment just to allow you to get in touch with where you are. And I keep saying that there's a redundant part of each show, and each show has some redundancy to it, and it's intentional, it's purposeful, it's to pervade the walls. The psyche is strong. The judgment is strong. The need to label is strong. And it's not bad, it's just strong. And it's about being aware so we can allow deeper and more and truth to come through. Truth will find its way through. But it's if you're just stimulus response, it's hard. Like, it needs to come through the pause and breathe. Pause. That's why we continually just keep messaging, pause and breathe. And when you leave the show and you go through something, you'll say pause and breathe. Pause and breathe. Let me read this again, and then we're going to pause again. Things falling apart is a kind of testing and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, but the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart. Then they come together and they fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, room for relief, for misery, and for joy. And let's give ourselves room right now. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to give you some room and space. Just, if you want to close your eyes and breathe, do that. If you want to look around, do that. Just pause and allow, and see if you can allow some space here right now. Did you allow yourself some space? Just type in the chat, space. Do you feel even a slight opening? Did you pause? Did you notice something different? At the time of this recording, it's twilight. The sun is going down, and temperature is moderate, somewhere in the 70s. It's just a beautiful window of time right now. And even though this is a recorded piece, is it coming across to you? Do you feel the essence of this place, the energy, combined with your own presence? I want to take a moment to just honor our newest sponsor, Miss Julie Gandy of Peace and Love Amplifiers. And she is a sponsor of the show. She has incredible work. She's HeartMath certified. And I had the beautiful experience to go through her process, which was life-changing for me. It was really a powerful thing. So I want to invite you to connect with Julie Gandy, Peace and Love Amplifiers. And by the way, her work is so in line with what we're doing here, Power of Pure Presence. It's a beautiful synergy. So just make sure you connect with Julie. We'll put her information up as we're going through the show today. Let me get into the next part that I want to share with you, which this was a reading that I came across that when I was going through a really hard time, and it just really spoke to me. I have chills, I have goosebumps as I'm reflecting on it now. And it's a longer read, so I'm going to jump in. Life is a good teacher and a good friend. Things are always in transition. If we could only realize it, nothing ever sums itself up the way we like to dream about. The off-center, in-between state is an ideal situation. A situation in which we don't get caught and we can open our hearts and minds beyond limits. It's a very tender, non-aggressive, open-ended state of affairs. To stay with that shakiness, to stay with a broken heart, with a rumbling stomach, with the feeling of hopelessness and wanting to get revenge. That is the path of true awakening. Sticking with that uncertainty, getting the knack of relaxing in the midst of chaos, learning not to panic. This is the spiritual path. Getting the knack of catching ourselves, of gently and compassionately catching ourselves, is the path of the warrior. We catch ourselves 1 zillion times as once again, whether we like it or not, we harden into resentment, bitterness, righteous indignation. Harden in any way, even into a sense of relief, a sense of inspiration. This one's a lot to unpack, but I'll speak to it. The first thing that comes up is this stimulus response world that we live into, and that we live. And the moment something happens, we want to resist. Something unpleasant, we instantly can react, resist, fight, manipulate, cajole, anything we can do. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm saying this is a deeper, far meaningful path, what we're talking about here. It's transcendent. And I had a beautiful quote that I want to share. Actually, I think I wrote it down. Let me grab it. It was from the earlier today. And this is completely unplanned, but it's so perfect. This is my quote, the way to transcend the ego is not to go high, but to go low. Be willing to allow the world to see you as lower when you are staying true to you. So in this connection point here is that when you when you stay with this tough moment, this hopelessness, which just seems like hopelessness, the rumbling stomach, the pain, she's not saying like this is permanent, like you should just, it's more from a state of a transcendent state. So it's almost like you're relinquishing, which on the surface seems low, but it's the way to actually transcend. And you transcend the human condition of stimulus response, pain and pleasure, avoiding pain, gaining pleasure. Doesn't it seem like if we're not conscious, like that's what life can be? Just this series of avoiding pain at all costs, gaining pleasure at all costs. But life beckons us to allow it, to experience the fullness of life, to live life fully now. Does not mean it's free of pain. It's inclusive of pain, and yet we still can be fulfilled. And that's what I believe she's saying here, that that the pain can speak in the presence. When you are in pure presence, you can embrace the chaos, you can embrace the pain, you can live life fully now, you can transcend the human condition. And it's an open-ended state of affairs. It's tender, non-aggressive. We don't get caught, and we can open our hearts and minds beyond limits in this state. Because then suddenly we realize we're okay. We're embracing it, and we're okay. It doesn't say to resist wanting to get revenge. It says to stay with it and not do anything. That is the path of true awakening. Sticking with the uncertainty, we talk about it all the time. It's in the breaking down. You see that it's in the breaking down that reveals. I wrote about this in my book, Power of Flashpoint, Manifesting the Moment of Your Big Breakthrough. There we go. I call it the polarity principle, and it's that you're wired to embrace that anything that's happened in the universe, the darkest, scariest thing, has an opposite. Has an opposite. There's a polar opposite to the scariest thing you've ever gone through. If you're in a state of pain right now, confusion, hopelessness, broken heart, no clarity, that opposite exists. And it's, as she said, it's never resolved. It's a coming together and a falling apart. However, through your intention and your ability to embrace, you can transcend and allow. And it's almost like in the allowance of it, you speed it up. And I'm just going to pause, and I want to see if you can see this residual light coming through the trees as the sun descends, as the light starts to vanish. I just want you to see the orange hues in the back. Let's see, can you see the trees, the silhouettes of the trees and the residual light? You know, it was light and now it's moving to dark. And so it is with life. It's the rise and the fall. And we can be courageous and present for it all. Through the pure awareness of these micro moments, these magical micro moments, we let life in. We let life touch us. We become changed in subtle yet deep and profound ways. When we allow ourselves to be touched and changed in ways that we could never speculate with the ego. We become changed in profound ways that allow us to become a light for others. So even if you're in a dark space, you're going through a tough time, your DNA is wired to embrace it. There's a deeper meaning to it. I invite you to open up and allow and stay with it, void of a human egoic reaction, because what happens is the deeper part comes through. And she says that is the path, but it's also referenced as the peace that passeth all understanding in the Bible, right? The peace that passeth all understanding. It's a similar message. But first, we might need to shake. We might need to white knuckle it. And then when we allow, something deeper comes through. We let go and we let God. Just want to invite you to pause and breathe and just allow right now. I'm going to be silent here for a minute or two. So as the darkness descends upon me, just remember there's power when you're present with your pain, that you can live in a state of connection and be fully engrossed and engaged in life while simultaneously allowing space for life to happen, to be fully engaged and somewhat detached, to be fully engaged in the process of life as it's happening. The space, like she referenced in the first reading, the space, it's the space that provides the healing. It's the space that allows the things to unfold. She says but the trust is that the things don't really get right. They come together and they come apart, right? It's just like that. The healing comes from the letting there be room for this all to happen. So as we close out this particular segment, are you giving it room for it to happen? Or are you anxiously trying to manipulate it to fit it what you want it to be? So I'm going to close out this segment before I disappear into the night. And I just want you to type in the chat what you're thinking and feeling as I turn it back over to the next segment. What are you thinking and feeling? What has this created a shift? Has this opened something up in you? Has it allowed you to realize that you can be courageous even when things don't seem right? Get in touch with that deeper part of yourself through Power of Pure Presence. Welcome back. That was pre-recorded at Princeton Battlefield, and it's even as I'm watching it back, it's just it touches me, and I hope and pray it touches you and unlocks something in you that maybe you didn't realize is there, a strength, a vulnerability, a courage that lay dormant, the ability to stand up and embrace like never before, because it's already in you. I want to acknowledge our sponsors right now for Power of Pure Presence. And then we're going to get your shares. I want to, Duchess DJ Love is our sponsor. She's also in the green room. So we're going to go back and look at the shares, grab some of the highlights from the show. And I have a poem that I want to share too. I think it's appropriate for this show. And I don't think I've ever shared this on Power of Pure Presence, but it's called What Is This Malaise? And I think it's appropriate because of the content today. So let's get a little tidbit from our sponsor. Make sure you connect. You will be glad you did. We talk about living fully now, but the journey never ends, does it? And travel's a great way to bring presence in. Her new book, Traveltudes, coming out. There's a revision coming out. And Gallivanting Like a Royal, Duchess DJ Love. Make sure you connect. And then Julie Gandy is another sponsor of the show. Let me share that with you. Julie has amazing work. That's all there is to it. She focuses on inner peace. How many of us listeners just think about the world in general? What would inner peace do for somebody? And you've heard people say peace of mind, but really it's inner peace. It's not just peace of mind, it's peace. And I'm excited to say that we have a documentary coming out. We have a documentary, and it features 4 incredible stories. It's from my other brand, Flashpoint, Manifesting the Moment of Your Big Breakthrough. I mentioned the book in the video there, and Julie is one of the stories. in the documentary. And that is being released Friday, next Friday, which is December 16th. So depending on when you get this, that is going to be just an incredible presentation. It's going to inspire you. You can get that live. You can also in person or on a live video. Let me see if I can share the trailer for that. Let's see. We'll share that here in a moment, and let's do that now.
My name is Marilyn Morales. I'm here because I want to help people to heal. I want to heal. I want to be different. I want to be more productive. And I think anybody that comes here is going to find that same thing, their breakthrough.
That's next Friday. I'm going to put the QR code up with the web link, and you'll be able to see that. And if you can, there's 3 different options. You can watch the stream. We're going to stream part of it. We're going to have a Zoom, and then we also have in person. So here's the info. Documentary and book release. I know it's going to help you. Gosh, it's just as far as your journey is concerned, what's important to you as we're getting ready to turn the page. And if you're finding this, maybe this is exactly what you need. So with the time we have left, I want to share this poem, and then we're going to grab your shares, and we're going to embrace. We're going to continue to embrace. And this poem, I know, is going to speak to you. So let me pull that up for you right now. What is this malaise? What seemed clear in the early morn has dissipated in the evening haze. The sun has vanished, and what remains is this strange malaise. It came from the ether, for I know not where. Before it arrived, I hadn't a care. Where is that spark that once ignited my soul? My passion peaked as I played my role. I burned bright all afternoon, just like the glorious sun. Life was sweet, and the best had just begun. A blink of an eye, and the next thing I see, the twilighted horizon bursting before me. The sun fading, and now I face the night. I still wonder if I should put up a fight. This strange malaise has settled upon my being. Instead of resisting, I choose to await its meaning. It suddenly feels as if my life is over. Preparing for the worst, I lose my composure. In the midst of this happening, the truth is revealed. The sun always rises again, making everything clear. Developing my faith is what I needed to learn. Inspired once again, my soul now yearns. Wow. So that poem, The Sun Always Rises Again. DJ, if you want to grab some of the highlighted shares, I want to thank you for being here today. I will get a link in the chat for that poem. It's up on YouTube, and it's appropriate. It's everything seems to always come together in some way that reveals. That was an awesome poem. Thank you, Ivy. Appreciate it. Amazed. Gallivanting like a royal. Thank you. God bless. Thank you, Mandy. You too. God bless. Live with memories, not dreams. That's from DJ's quote. Live with memories, not dreams. That's what the journey is for. Amen to that. Feeling like I can take the leap, trust, and will be just as, and it will be just what it's meant to be. Ivy, yes. Looking forward to better days. Hi, Jeannie. I want a nap now. Okay. Yeah, beautiful. Just honor yourself for being here today. So, Source is the giver of all perfect presence. He never fails us when we take his hand and walk in faith. That's Mandy expressing her faith today. Amen to that. When we had the trees, the silhouette of the trees against the light, as you watched the show, the sun was going down and kept getting darker and darker, right? But even in the dark, which is another great metaphor, that residual light. I love watching the sunset. And of all the sunsets I watch, people watch the sunset and they leave right away. But I stay. And I stay because that residual light comes up over the horizon, and it's like God's paintbrush. It's unbelievable. Living in the now is still inclusive of pain. And oops, go back to that, DJ. Living in the now is still inclusive of pain, and you can still be in pure presence and transcend the human condition. Yep. And here's our tumbler. We have items like this, I don't really promote them a whole lot, but you can get this as a 30-ounce tumbler. Live life fully now, power of pure presence. And that's what we're talking about. Okay, please paste the transcend quote. I'll dig that quote up. I'll put it in, I'll create a meme for that. I forgot I even said that. It just comes through, but I'll get that. My sky is much cloudier. Light snow, sneeze. Oh, okay. Well, this too shall pass. I pray you feel better. Have you felt the feeling that everything will be okay no matter what? That's a great feeling. And if you don't feel that, stay with it. It's 11 a.m. It's the end of the show. I want to thank you for being here. You're free to go back and watch the playback. There was a lot in this show today, and there's a lot to unpack. So don't feel like you have to get it all. Again, take the message. Allow. Your courage is strong. It runs deep. It runs deeper than your courage, and your strength run deeper than the noise of your mind. God bless everyone. Have a great day, great week. We'll see you next week. And if you want to come to the book launch, make sure you make a point to get there. We'd love to see you. All right. Bye for now.